It started with a bang. A SWAT team kicked in the wrong door. What followed wasn't just chaos. It was a storm of injustice that shattered the life of a veteran and nearly claimed the safety of his child. The Ren Duval had heard the sound before, with splitting under force, the brutal snap of a door being breached. But never here, not in his own apartment, not in Tucson, not with his 14-year-old daughter, Amira, inside. The sound was sudden, violent. It shattered the evening silence like a grenade had gone off. Before the Wren could even move, a flash of blue electricity streaked through the air. Then came Amira's scream. Sharp, guttural. Her small body convulsed and collapsed. She had been tased. Amira! Theron's voice wasn't loud. It was low, controlled, but it cut through the noise like a knife. The SWAT team flooded in, boots pounding, guns raised, voices shouting commands that collided in the air, chaotic and overlapping. They thought they were in the right place. They weren't. Officer Josquirel's finger tightened on the trigger the second Amira moved. But she had only been reaching for her phone, to call her dad, to call for help, to protect herself. The taser fired. No hesitation. The Wren didn't scream. He didn't panic. His voice came out steady, almost quiet. That's my daughter you just tased. And just like that, the room froze. Quarles' hands trembled. Another officer, Rhett, cursed under his breath. Their adrenaline was replaced with unease, because they knew they'd made a mistake. The Wren dropped to his knees beside Amira. Her body still trembled, her eyes wide with confusion and fear. He turned her over gently, his hands calm even as fury built beneath the surface. It's okay, baby, I'm here, he whispered. An officer's radio crackled with static, requesting confirmation of the address. Too late, way too late. The Wren wasn't new to chaos. He was a former soldier, 82nd Airborne. He had seen combat, face fire. But this was different. This was his home. His daughter. What are you doing here? The Wren asked, voice low but unshaking. Officer Quarles swallowed hard. We had a warrant for this address. You got the wrong place, the Wren said, his jaw set like stone. One of the officers barked more orders. But the Wren wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on Amira, her breathing shallow, her lips trembling. She needs help, the Wren said. A younger officer, Ruiz, nodded quickly and called for medical backup. The apartment was destroyed. The front door hung broken off its hinges. Furniture overturned. The smell of burnt rubber from the taser hung in the air like smoke after a battlefield skirmish. Amira's voice was a whisper. Daddy, what's happening? The Wren brushed her hair back gently. They made a mistake, baby girl. They thought we were someone else. Her eyes, brown like his, searched his face, frightened and confused. I'm here now. You're safe, he said again, trying to believe it himself. But the damage had already been done, and the night was far from over. Paramedics arrived minutes later. Boots echoed on the cracked tile. They worked quickly, professionally, but the Wren barely heard them. His eyes never left his daughter. A kind-eyed paramedic knelt beside Amira. Sweetheart, can you tell me your name? Amira blinked, dazed. Amira, she whispered. She's going to be okay, the medic said, just in shock. But we recommend a full checkup at the hospital. The Wren nodded, his face unreadable, but his chest burning. His child had been attacked in her own home by people who were supposed to protect her. The paramedics prepared to leave. Amira sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her small frame still shaking. The Wren stayed close. She looked up at him, her voice barely audible. Why did they do this to us? He crouched beside her and took her hand. They thought we were someone else. But that doesn't make it right. She looked down, tears slipping down her cheek. The yelling, the guns. I thought I was gonna die. The Wren pulled her close. I've got you. No one's hurting you again. But as he held her, memories of war blurred with the present. This didn't feel like peace. This felt like another battlefield. One of the officers muttered something. The Wren heard it. Protocol, wrong door, confusion. Quarles avoided Theron's gaze. Ruiz looked ashamed. The Wren stood. I want answers. Now, Quarrel hesitated. There was a mix-up on the paperwork. We're confirming. A mix-up that nearly killed my daughter. The Wren interrupted, voice sharp. Another officer tried to speak, but the Wren cut him off. You come into my home. You aim weapons at a child. You fire a taser without warning. That's not a mistake. That's reckless. The room went silent. Amira struggled to stand, and the Wren helped her up. I want to go to the hospital, she said softly. The Wren nodded, but before they left, he looked at the men who'd stormed his life. This isn't over. Outside, the street was buzzing with lights and whispers. Neighbors peeked from their windows, drawn by sirens and curiosity. The Duvals had become the latest headline. But to the Wren, this wasn't about attention. This was about justice. He helped Amira into the car, his hands gentle, his mind raging. Hold on, baby girl, he whispered as they drove off. This isn't the end. We're going to make sure they pay attention now. At the hospital, the fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The Wren sat beside Amira, wrapped in a hospital gown, her hand in his. She looked like a child again, vulnerable, frightened, still brave. A detective arrived, clipboard in hand, eyes cautious. Mr. Duval, I'm Detective Harper. I'm here to look into what happened tonight. Theron's voice was cold, controlled. My daughter was tased in her own living room because of your mistake. Harper nodded. We're reviewing the warrant. There was a miscommunication with the address. The suspect lives 2 blocks away. That's not good enough, the Wren said. Someone nearly killed my daughter. Harper met his gaze. We'll find out what went wrong. I promise. Amira looked up, eyes filled with exhaustion and questions. The Wren squeezed her hand. They both knew this wasn't just about tonight. It was about every night it could happen again. To another family, to another child, unless someone stood up and said, no more. And the Wren Duval wasn't about to sit down. We can't control what happened, Amira said, her voice quiet but clear. But we can control what we do next. We have to keep speaking out, keep fighting for what's right. So that's exactly what they did. The Wren and Amira organized a community meeting at a local church, inviting neighbors, police officials, and community leaders to come together. The goal was simple, to prevent another family from experiencing what they had. The atmosphere that night was tense. Emotions ran high, but it was honest. The Wren shared their story with raw truth, what it meant to have your door kicked in, to see your daughter tased, to realize in one terrifying moment that the people sworn to protect you could also put you in danger. Amira sat beside him, calm but firm, her voice shaking only slightly as she described the fear that still lived in her chest. Some police officials apologized. Others defended the chaos, pointing to the pressures of law enforcement. But by the end of the night, something had shifted. People had listened. People had seen them. Still, the Wren knew this was just the beginning. He and Amira were planting seeds. But change would take time. The community was divided. The police department was defensive. And the legal battle had only just begun. In a small downtown office lined with case files and legal textbooks, the Wren sat across from his attorney. We have a strong case, she said. The use of force against your daughter was not only excessive, it was unlawful, especially with a mistaken address. Theron's jaw clenched. I want accountability, he said. Not just for us, for every family who could be next. The lawyer nodded. Then we'll file a civil rights suit against the department. It won't be easy, but it's necessary. The Wren left that office with a storm of emotions, determination, fatigue, and something else, clarity. Back at home, Amira helped him review statements and organize paperwork. Despite everything, she remained his strength. They are going to push back, she said. Try to blame us. Twist the story. The Wren looked at her, his eyes full of pride. You're amazing. She smiled faintly. We're doing this together. The weeks that followed were relentless. Court dates, interviews, news reports. The Wren faced officials who dodged blame, lawyers who tried to rattle him, and news anchors who spun the story into headlines. But he stood tall through it all. In one courtroom, the Wren addressed the judge directly. This isn't just about my daughter. It's about the trust between community and its police, and how easily that trust can be broken. That night, it was shattered. Outside the courthouse, supporters stood with signs. Justice for Amira. No more mistaken doors. Amira stood beside her father, their hands locked. They weren't backing down. The Wren began working with advocacy groups focused on police reform. He spoke at town halls, joined forums, and shared their story with anyone who would listen. At home, the fight took its toll. Amira's nightmares returned. The taser sting had faded from her skin, but not from her mind. She struggled in school, distracted, anxious, distant. The Wren wrestled with guilt. He caught himself snapping, pulling away, questioning if he was doing enough. One night, Amira sat at the kitchen table, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I don't want to fight anymore," she whispered. "I just want to feel normal again." The Wren knelt beside her. "I know, baby girl. It's okay to feel that way." He held her tight, letting her cry. He didn't have answers, but he had arms strong enough to hold the weight. They began therapy. They talked. They listened. They healed, inch by inch. "You've both been through trauma," their therapist said. "It's okay to feel broken, but don't forget, broken isn't the same as defeated." Neighbors pitched in. Friends brought meals. Small gestures that meant everything. One evening, the Wren sat on the porch, staring at the horizon. Was this fight even worth it? His old army friend Jake called. "How are you holding up?" Jake asked. "I don't know," the Wren admitted. "Some days, it feels like I'm drowning." Jake paused, then said, "You're not doing this for just one night. You're doing it for every night after." And just like that, the Wren remembered why he started. Then came the moment that changed everything. At the kitchen table, under the glow of a single lamp, the Wren read through a manila envelope someone had slipped under their door. Inside were documents, emails, memos, all anonymous, all internal. The raid wasn't just a mistake. It was rushed, approved without proper verification. Officers were ordered to act quickly, despite knowing the address hadn't been confirmed. The Wren called Amira into the room. Her eyes widened as she read. "They knew," she said. "They knew they were taking a risk, and they did it anyway." Together, they brought the evidence to their lawyer. And then, to the media, the story exploded. Public outrage surged. The police department launched an internal investigation. Officers were disciplined. Policy reviews were announced. The warrant process was overhauled. The Wren and Amira became the faces of a movement. But it wasn't easy. They received threats. People tried to discredit them. Some officers pushed back hard. Still, they kept going. At one packed community forum, the Wren stood on stage. "We cannot accept a system that kicks in the doors of innocent families," he said. "We deserve better. Our kids deserve better." Amira stood beside him. "Change starts with us," she said. "And it starts with telling the truth, even when it hurts." The crowd rose to its feet. Months passed. The raid had left scars, but now there were signs of healing. Their apartment had been repaired. The door stood solid again. The Wren ran his hand across the new frame, feeling something he hadn't felt in months: safety. Amira returned to school, her spark slowly returning. The Wren found a new purpose: helping others navigate the system. He volunteered with legal aid clinics, shared their story at schools and workshops, turned his pain into power. At a neighborhood celebration, a city council member took the stage. "Because of the Wren and Amira," she said, "we've taken meaningful steps toward accountability in our police department." Their courage sparked real change. The Wren looked at his daughter. She smiled, not because the pain was gone, but because they had survived it together. That night, on the porch beneath a starlit sky, Amira leaned her head on his shoulder. "We made it," she whispered. The Wren wrapped his arm around her. "We did." Their journey was painful. It was long, but it mattered, because in standing up, they reminded everyone, justice isn't automatic. It's demanded, and it starts with a single voice that refuses to be silent.